I wasted years and years believing the wrong things about storytelling. And if you are a coach, speaker, or a content creator, I recommend that you hear these truths now than ever. And if you need to pause and make a notes, make sure you do that. So I'm going to share with you 10 uncomfortable, brutal truths about storytelling. If you understand, if you apply, this is your short way to improve the impact, the influence, and your income as a storyteller. So truth number one, your story is not special yet. Everyone thinks their life is unique, and in a way it is. But when you look at the larger perspective, you'll find out that we are more similar to others than we think we are. And once you understand this perspective, you will also understand that your audience wants to feel like you are living their story. And if you draft your story from that perspective, it will immediately connect to your audience. Truth number two, long stories don't impress, they lose attention. I used to believe that if you are able to tell a story of 20, 30, 40 minutes or 1 hour, people are going to be crazy about you, they would love you. But when I started doing that, I realized that it is not the case. The more value that you provide, the more audience will attach. And that is why there is a term called VPM, value per minute. It's not about the number of minutes you're speaking, it's about how much value are you providing per minute. So whenever you're designing your next story or creating or practicing, think about what value are you providing to your audience, because if they find your stories invaluable, the length of the story will not matter. If there is no value, even a little longer story can really make them uncomfortable. Number three, emotions beat information every single time. As they say, facts tell, stories sell. And what those stories are made of? Yes, you heard it right. Emotion, energy, and motion. So when you are able to tell emotional story, when you are able to evoke emotion, that's when you are able to get to that part of the brain which is called decision-making brain. Is that part of the brain of the human mind which has not evolved from hundreds of thousands of years. And this is said that this is directly impacted when you tell emotional story. So while information is very, very useful, it cannot beat emotion when it comes to making an impact. Number four, a good story without a clear takeaway is just entertainment, right? I'm very sure you would have heard a lot of amazing story, good stories. But if you ever wondered, okay, why this story? What should I do about it? Maybe you heard the same thing. You had a good entertainment. But as you focus more on business storytelling, a good story becomes great when it has a clear call to action for your audience. So if you want to become a captivating, confident storyteller, you need to make sure that your audience is having a clear takeaway, clear call to action after you finish your story. This fifth one is confidence comes after reputation, not before. I can't tell you how many times I have seen people with a lot of potential but not taking action because they feel they need to be perfect. They need to have the perfect script. They need to have the perfect stage movement. They need to have the perfect voice. But the reality is, perfect is not a noun, is a verb, which means taking action. So it's not perfect, it's perfecting, which means you are taking action. You are learning from your mistakes. You are improving every single time. Once you get that and you know that every single one of those influencers that you follow, one of those storytellers that you look up to, they all started with being a boring one. It will make your life much easier. Truth number 6. And the truth is, nobody cares about your story until they see themselves in it. Of course, we have heard all those big stories of people going to Himalayas and Mount Everest and somebody's leg getting or hand getting amputated. We get inspired for a moment, we got motivation. But does that last long? Most of the time, it isn't. That's because your audience is not able to relate. And it is said in the speaking word that you don't need to be on a pedestal, which means that you don't need to be different, you don't need to be special, but you need to be similar to your audience. And once that happens, your audience feels your story, your audience lives their journey through your stories, and that's where the deep connections happen. Number 7, delivery matters sometimes more than the structure itself. So if you can deliver with confidence, you can actually take your story to the next level. Let's say you ordered a pizza and you ordered from 2 places. From the first place, it had some amazing ingredient. It was cooked at the perfect temperature. But when it came, it didn't come in the square box. It had everything mixed up on the top. The toppings were not properly dressed. Versus you had another pizza where the taste was okay, but when it came in a beautiful box. The moment you opened, you felt that, wow, this is beautifully packed. Which one would you order next time when you're in front of a guest? Most likely you'll order from the second one. Why? Because it's the delivery that is more important, even more important sometimes than the content. So number 8, stories don't sell because they're emotional. They sell because they build trust. Now think about a time when you recently did a big purchase. Did you just do it because the salesman made you emotional? Maybe part of it. But most importantly, you would have gone through various showrooms, various places to build the trust. As a speaker, storyteller, business owner, this is what you need to do with your audience. You need to build the capital T, which is trust. In this era, the biggest currency is the currency of trust. The first version of your story will be the worst version of your story. Let me repeat that again. The first version of your story will be the worst version of your story. Don't take it otherwise, don't take it personally, because this is how it happens. The first version will always have some loophole, some feedback. And when you go through it, when you do it again and again, you receive feedback, you find out which one to keep, which one to remove, you filter, you rewrite, you restructure. That's when it starts to shape into a masterpiece. So all the great stories don't get born as a great story. They get born as maybe a boring story or maybe an ordinary story. But by repetition, as they say, repetition is the mother of mastery. By repeating the story, taking feedback, taking action, updating it and doing it again all over, they become great stories. And I wish I knew this truth when I started my journey. And this 10th one, hardest story you tell to anyone is the one that you tell to yourself, because it is the one that builds and changes your identity. So if you start telling yourself that, yes, I may not be a great speaker yet, but I am on my path, you will start to notice changes. You will start to attract right people, right mentor, right coaches, right tool, which will help you in this journey. When I started my journey about 10 years back as a speaker and storyteller, I wish I knew these 10 truths. But now you know that. And I hope and wish that you take this truth in the right manner and start applying it in your speaking. I wish you all the best. Story power to you.